Welcome to Recap King. In this video, we will explain The Dude in Me. This movie tells the story of a weak high school student and a mighty gangster, exchanging their bodies accidentally. Will they be able to return to their respective bodies? Let's find out in The Dude in Me. The Dude in Me begins with the story of an established man named Jang Pan Su, who wants to say goodbye to his wife to work. Pan Su does a dirty job because he is a big mafia in his city. Arriving at the office, he assigned his loyal staff, named Chol, to go to a factory in the city, accompanied by several of his men. Arriving at the factory, Chol meets the factory owner. It turned out that he came there to force the factory owner to sign the land handover letter.
Kim Dong Hyeon.
The factory owner is a middle-aged man named Jang Ki. Jang Ki is a simple man who doesn't have the strength to fight. Initially, he refused to sign the land handover letter. However, Chol's men continued to force him with violence, even to the point of threatening to cut his hand with the mower that was there. Finally, under pressure, Jang Ki resignedly signed the land handover letter. After getting what they wanted, Chol and his men left with happy faces. Meanwhile, Pan Su is having dinner and is then approached by a man called Boss Yang. From the look on Pan Su's face, it can be seen that he doesn't really like Boss Yang's arrival, even though they work under the same mafia organization. The two seem to be at odds, and even Boss Yang hits the table while talking. It turns out that the two of them are fighting over the position of mafia leader in their organization, where the position of mafia leader is currently occupied by Pan Su's father-in-law. Sometime later, Pan Su is having lunch at a noodle shop alone. On the other side of his table, a bespectacled high school student named Kim Dong Hyeon is also eating noodles at the same shop. After finishing their food, they both queued at the cashier to pay. Unfortunately that day, Dong Hyeon forgot to bring his wallet. Hearing this, the noodle shop owner glanced at Pan Su and asked Pan Su to pay for Dong Hyeon's food.
정말 죄송한데요. 제가 지갑을 잃어버려가지고.
Although a bit annoyed at paying for food that was not what he ordered, Pan Su finally complied with the old woman's request. Dong Hyeon immediately thanked Pan Su, a stranger he didn't know. After paying, the old woman said that Pan Su would get a gift later. Moments after eating at the noodle shop, Dong Hyeon was already on the roof of his school building, which was located near the noodle shop. He was seen trying to get a shoe stuck in the TV antenna on the roof of the building. Turns out, Dong Hyeon was being bullied by his classmates so that one of his shoes was stuck in the TV antenna. With one foot, he tiptoed, trying to reach his shoe. Unfortunately, his balance was not good, so he fell onto the street. As he falls, his body hits Pan Su, who is standing on the phone on the same street. As a result of this accident, Pan Su and Dong Hyeon were rushed to the hospital for treatment. Thankfully, their lives were saved, but they were still in a coma for a moment. Woke up from his coma. He felt confused and felt something strange about his body. He got up from the bed. When he looked in the mirror, how surprised he was when he saw his face that had changed to become younger. He was even more confused when he realized that the body was not his. Wait, so what really happened to Pan Su? But before we continue the video, we want to thank Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. So are you a gamer? Well, there's good news from the greatest mobile game of all time, Raid Shadow Legends. Click on the link in the description or scan my QR code to download Raid Shadow Legends for free on a mobile device or PC. Earlier this year, Raid just brought the latest addition to its huge boss roster, and it's Raid's biggest, baddest, and scariest yet, the Hydra. This thing is the ultimate beast, a super-powered clan boss that's like many bosses rolled into one, and I just love this character so much. It's got multiple different heads, it is a Hydra of course, and each has unique mechanics. It can share the pain and push damage from itself onto your team. It can scare your champions, rot them from the inside, cloak itself in a cloud of poison, and do a ton more crazy things. If you can cut off its head though, it exposes its neck, and it's open season. You can deal out some insane damage before it grows back a new head. The whole battle is like a crazy tactical puzzle box, always revealing new challenges even in the middle of a fight. This game is extremely amazing. I'm having tons of fun testing things out and experimenting with new strategies only in the game Raid Shadow Legends. A bunch is happening in Raid Shadow Legends this month. To start off, Raid's releasing a ton of incredible new champions, along with a brand new faction wars crypt for one of my favorite factions, the Shadowkin. It's gonna be amazing, and I can't wait for the crypt to open up so I can dive in and see what it's all about. On top of that, there's a ton of New Year events and tournaments, including a special fusion event where you can get one of Raid's newest legendary champions. This is the best time to get started in Raid Shadow Legends, and if you use my link in the description or scan my QR code, you'll get some free resources and a free mystery champion straight away to kickstart your journey in the game. I'm not telling you who it is, but trust me, they're awesome. Hit my link and see who you'll get. All this treasure will be waiting for you. The rewards will be available only for the next 30 days and only for new players. And it's that easy. Just click the link in the description and I'll see you in the game. Back to the story of Pan Su. After thinking for a moment, he realized that his body and soul had been swapped with Dong Hyeon. He looked into the room where his real body was still lying in a coma in the hospital. Not long after, Dong Hyeon's father came to the room where he was being treated. It turns out that Dong Hyeon's father is a factory owner who was previously threatened by his subordinates for the land handover case. When he meets the doctor who treats his son, the doctor tells Dong Hyeon's father that his son has memory loss. After that, Pan Su has no other choice. He is forced to go home with Dong Hyeon's father and live the life of a high school boy. The next day, Pan Su goes to school with his father. There, his father asked the principal about his son's case, who was often bullied until he fell from the roof of the building. However, the principal did not provide clarity about the case. Pan Su then goes to class. Pan Su, who is currently in Dong Hyeon's body, realizes that Dong Hyeon is often bullied by his classmates. That day, he saw a female student named Oh Yoon-jung being bullied by her friends. Pan Su doesn't stay still. He defended the student by attacking bullies. Pan Su was taken to the back of the school by some of his classmates. However, his classmates were shocked after knowing that Dong Hyeon dared to fight back by hitting them back. Pan Su, who has a tough life as a mafia, of course can easily fight bullying from high school kids. All his classmates were beaten until they were scared. In the afternoon, the thugs who bullied Dong Hyeon before turned out to be bullying a student in the school toilet. Pan Su then came to defend his seatmate. He can easily beat them one by one. He then took the cell phone belonging to one of the bullies. He can see some photos and video recordings of their bullying of weak children on the cell phone. Arriving at the house, Pan Su rechecked the cell phone of the thug boy who bullied his friend earlier. He saw a video recording that showed the real Dong Hyeon being bullied before falling from the roof of the building and hitting him. Through the video, he noticed every face that had bullied Dong Hyeon. The next day, he calls out all the bullies and beats them all. Pan Su then threatened the bullying students that he would not hesitate to bring the videotape evidence to the police if it happened again.
앞으로 성가시게 하면 알지?
The scene turns to Pan Su's wife. In a car park, Pan Su's wife is seen having an affair with another man. Suddenly, she is accosted by Boss Yang. There, Boss Yang invites her to work together to eliminate Pan Su. This is so that Boss Yang's path to getting the position of mafia leader will be easier. Pan Su's wife then agrees to the deal, for fear of exposing her affair to her father, who is the head of the mafia. Elsewhere, Man Chol was in his apartment. Suddenly, he is approached by Pan Su. Man Chol is surprised because the person who claims to be Pan Su looks like a high school student. At first, Man Chol doesn't recognize Pan Su, but after quite a tough conversation, Man Chol realized that the high school student sitting in front of him was Pan Su, his boss. The next day, Pan Su meets Yoon-jung. While he was talking, suddenly Yoon-jung's mother came to pick her up. He was surprised when he realized that Yoon-jung's mother is Oh Mi-soon. It turns out that Mi-soon was his girlfriend when he was in high school, and also his first wife who had been abandoned. Suspecting that Yoon-jung was his biological daughter in the past, Pan Su grabbed Yoon-jung's hair. Pan Su then told Man Chol to come to the hospital and take his real hair from his body. Later, Man Chol took the hair for DNA testing. Sure enough, the DNA test results showed that Yoon-jung was his daughter. Knowing this, his father's soul emerged. Moreover, he often saw that Yoon-jung was often bullied for not having a father. Feeling revenge, Pan Su tells Man Chol to break the legs of the high school kids who have bullied Yoon-jung. However, Man Chol refused because he didn't want to deal with the police. Pan Su then uses other ways so that his daughter can fight against the bullying of her friends at school. Then, Pan Su invites Yoon-jung to train at the fitness center to defend herself. The hard training that the two of them underwent gradually made Dong Hyeon's original body, which was once stocky, turn into an ideal and athletic body. With a drastically changed appearance, Pan Su becomes the center of attention at school like an idol artist. One day, Pan Su stops by Yoon-jung's house after school. He saw photos of his daughter there and felt sad because he could not accompany her growth. He then secretly took the photos through his cell phone camera. One night, Dong Hyeon's father walked a lonely alley near his house. Unfortunately, in the middle of the road, he was confronted by a group of thugs who asked for money. Pan Su comes to his defense when his father is about to be ganged up. However, the situation turned upside down as his father, who couldn't fight, hugged Pan Su to protect him from the thugs' attacks so that Pan Su can't beat the thugs. The next day, Pan Su orders Man Chol to send his men to raid the thugs' headquarters. With his martial arts skills and ruthless nature, the thugs there did not move to fight back against Man Chol and his men.
원금 한 500 될 거야, 그지?
Turning to school, Yoon-jung seems to have dared to defend herself because she has been practicing with his father. She dared to fight against the bullies at her school. Meanwhile, at Yoon-jung's house, Pan-so visits Mi-soon. Mi-soon is busy serving customers at her diner. Suddenly, one of her male customers patted her butt and teased her. Seeing this, Pan-so did not accept and beat the customer. After beating the customer, Pan-so invites Mi-soon to talk. He explains that in this high school boy's body, there is the soul of his first husband, Pan-so. Hearing this, Mi-soon did not immediately believe what she heard. However, after a long conversation, Mi-soon finally believes and is angry with Pan-so for leaving her. Back to Yoon-jung, who is now accepted by her classmates. She was even invited to a party by one of her classmates. That night, Yoon-jung comes to the party and she sees Pan-so's classmate being bullied by his classmates and being made a waiter at the party. Pan-so then gets a call saying that Yoon-jung came to the party just to be bullied. Hearing this, he immediately followed to save Yoon-jung. Sure enough, when he got there, he saw his daughter being bullied. He immediately beats up all the bullies and brings Yoon-jung home. Sometime later, Man-chol meets Pan-so at a park. He informs him that his wife has an affair and works with Boss Yang to eliminate him. Hearing this, Pan-so asks Man-chol to send a letter to his father-in-law, the head of the mafia. One day, because of his closeness, Yoon-jung begins to fall in love with Pan-so, who is in Dong-yoon's body. Of course, Pan-so flatly refused and left her. The scene switched to Boss Yang, who is visiting Pan-so in the hospital room where his body is in a coma. Boss Yang comes there because he intends to kill him. But suddenly, Pan-so's body awoke from his coma. Boss Yang looked so shocked and panicked that he fell and then fainted. Dong-yoon, who was in Pan-so's body, then went home after he woke up. At home, he hugged his father. However, his father did not recognize him because his soul was trapped in someone else's body. Not long after the panic subsided, after Pan-so returned home, the three of them sit down together and Pan-so explains what happened. Pan-so then asks Dong-yoon to come to Mi-soon's place. When they visited Mi-soon's house, Boss Yang also came to eliminate Pan-so. A fight ensues where Pan-so in Dong-yoon's body fights against the mobsters. Finally, Pan-so fell down because he was hit by a hydrant by Boss Yang. In a panic, Mi-soon immediately went to the kitchen and brought a gas cylinder in front of them. She threatens Boss Yang and his men if they don't leave the place soon, then she will kill herself by blowing up the gas cylinder. Seeing the woman's recklessness, Boss Yang finally left. A few days later, Pan-so's father-in-law invited him to come over to the house. His wife was also called and was there. During the meeting, Pan-so reveals the temperament of his wife, who has cheated on him and works with Boss Yang to eliminate him. The mafia leader also knows the problem and gives Pan-so a choice to continue his mafia business or leave. Pan-so, which contains Dong-yoon's soul, came to the meeting and was directed through a communication device attached to his ear. He hears the real Pan-so's direction, that he prefers to leave and return to his former first wife. He realized that no matter how bad he was, his first wife was the only person willing to accompany him. According to him, that's where a family comes home. His father-in-law understood his decision. Then, Pan-so resigns from his job as a mafia. He intends to return to his former family and repair his relationship with Mi-soon. When Pan-so leaves his father-in-law's house and talks to Dong-yoon, they are run over by his second wife because she's mad that Pan-so exposed her affair to her father. Pan-so and Dong-yoon were immediately taken to the hospital. Arriving at the hospital, Pan-so, who was still trapped in Dong-yoon's body, apologized to Yoon-jung for not accompanying her and watching her growth from childhood to adulthood. Soon, he fainted, followed by Dong-yoon, who also fainted while standing in the hospital corridor. When he was about to undergo surgery, in his dream, Pan-so was visited by the old woman who owned the noodle shop, whom he had met before the accident. The old woman said, "Now take good care of your family." At the end of the story, Pan-so wakes up from his coma, and 6 months later, he is seen building a restaurant business with Mi-soon and his daughter Yoon-jung. Dong-yoon is also seen returning to school and going about his routine without fear of being bullied. The film ends. From this film, we can learn that family is where we come back to. Even though we have a lot of friends, they will come and go, while the family will still be by our side, either in pleasant circumstances or even in the worst conditions. Furthermore, from this film, we also learn that it is important to practice self-defense so that we are not oppressed by the arbitrariness that is happening around us.